Sham Masech the Ma'aser Sheni, Dav Gimel Amid Aleph, the Nishmas get the Batman Chaim Yisadoga, Shnechaim Yitzchak, Hanareza Bas Gold, Yerushalmי, Rivki Mir Bas Chayeser, Yerushalmי Ayeva, Yerushalmy, Yerushalmy, the Nishmas Leib Mordechai Ben Ephraim Yehuda. One of the studies that I say of Ma'aser Sheni, Moment Gavoya, which is controlling all the different halachas that we're learning in the first couple of lat, is the Briskerov. So I want to add on something to the Briskerov. I don't think the piece that he said there, that he wrote there in the stencils is complete. That's why I'm taking the liberty to add something on. So again, let's repeat what the Briskerov said. It is a Rambam Perik Hey, Halacha Dalet, Hilchos Ishus, Kitshe b'Ma'aser Sheni, ben b'Shoigi, ben b'Mezid, Eino Mikudeshes. Mekadesh an issue with Ma'aser Sheni, b'Mezid b'Shoigi, it's not Mikudeshes, Paskin like a mayor, the mayor holds Mama Gavoyahu, that's right, that should be the reason. The Rambam comes and gives you a different reason, l'chayra. He says, "Lefi she'ein lo la'asis boy shach hafeitzav ad she'yischalul shenema b'ma'aser l'Hashem hu." Not permitted to do other things with the Ma'aser Sheni, because it says in the pasuk l'Hashem hu. Take the Briskerov. Why does the Rambam come up with his own pshat? It says Hashem hu. Why does he deviate? Why does the Rambam deviate from the Gemara? The Gemara says in Kedushin, every yeshiva bocha weisach the Gemara, like the Meir Yehuda, we pass like a Meir. It's enough in the Mishnah in the Sechta Kedushin, as Ma'aser Sheni, Mama Gavoyu. It's nicht deine, it's a game of Mekaz Zayin Anisha, it belongs to the Boyer Shalom. I guess Mekaz Zayin Anisha. Starke kasher of a Rambam. We had similar questions. The Ma'aser Sheni, Moichin Oisai, Shet the Gemara Daf Alef Beis, Mishnei Shekosa by Kedusha. So the Mishnah goes, the Moshe lands has to get to the Meir holds Mama Gavoya. What do you have to come on to new Tamim because Mei Shekosa by Kedusha? Eim Mashkin Oisai Mei Shekosa by Bracha. It's like Mama Gavoya. It's nicht nein again guy machen Mashkonas mit Hirin. All these Sachen, guys, in a ganze Gemara da, mit Gzeiris, mit Tekonas, Mama Gavoya, it's not yours. Vater, Galeidik, Agashab. Comes again the Briskerov, and look, Moedik Chiddush. Those the shade in the Gemara, Meir, is Mama Gavoya, but that's all skid by size, which will end the Mishnah, yeah? Mama Gavoya. Was meant Mama Gavoya? Mama Gavoya meint nicht as the blank notes to the Banishlein. Mama Gavoya means the blank Oichet to the Banishlein. And the Mensch also has Bailis in the Zach, Raya, bank the Raya, because you see, the Ma'aser Sheni, Agam to state by Kedusha, but it's not Shagdish. And a person has the Ma'aser Sheni, he can be Magdish. Any Magdish Dova Sheni Shaloi, you can't be Magdish Dova Sheni Shaloi. And this is Chafil at the Meir, it's a paskin to Mama Gavoya, you can't have Magdish sein. Zet Medoch, that what? That even though it's Mama Gavoya, but a person has Bailis in the Ma'aser Sheni. We about about Bailis in the Ma'aser Sheni. It's not like it's not yours, not like taking somebody else's chayfetz and being Mekadosh and Ishid Dimit. The fact you came to the Rambam and the pshat in the Meir is as Mama Gavoya and Hanam, but that doesn't mean I can't be Mekadosh and Isha. So the reason why you can't be Mekadosh and Isha, I said L'Hashem hu, and about L'Hashem hu, ein lasid boy shach hafetzav ad sheyischalul shenemar b'ma'aser L'Hashem hu. Because do an Issa. Issa is that other lens are under the pshat that the Tfez B'chur in the Mishnah, a lot of Mefarshim are learning pshat here in the Mishnah as a Mekadshim, a Magdish, and all these things are not some you can't do it. It's Yisurim, I'm a Toz Shmachim. What's Toz Shmachim? Well, the Rambam Zokta was ein lasis boy shach hafetzav ad sheyischalul shenemar b'ma'aser L'Hashem hu. It's an Issa to do it. This is the Meir Weniger was stated in the stencils in the Dav Vov, Dav Zayin, and Zvachim Doten. That's what the Briskerov said.
But it's not just this. So if you do it, it's not chal.
Right. Kitchu b'Ma'aser Sheni, ein Mekadeshes. Ein Mekadeshes. But the chiddush is that well, even though it's mom and gavoya, is then the person has bailus. If he has a bailus, so I would think that because the Meir says mom and gavoya, that's not enough to tell me that you can't be mekadosh anisha. You need also the pshat is well, ein lasses by shar chafetzav. Sure. Adkan was steht dort in the Biskirov. Andere one of them pshat is I think Tves B'churim. Other one of them pshat is that from here you learn from this pasuk Lashem Hu. That's where you know that's where Meir took. That's Mama Gavaya. Different understanding. I don't understand it like that. I understand. No, it's a Mama Gavaya. It's not a Mama Gavaya. Ain't a chinami. But Mama Gavaya, that doesn't mean that it's not yours. You see that you could be Mekadosh Anisha. They are shtaka, Raya from the Biskirov. Elamai Mizman Onkum it's Zogan that what you have no right. You have no right to do shaka feitzav with the Ma'aser Sheni. And this controls a lot of the different dinim that were meshkinim, marinan, matana. All these things circle back over here. So let me point something out to you. If that's how you learn pshat, so take a look here in the Rambam and Perek Gimel, Halacha Yud Zayin, in Ma'aser Sheni. Look at the Rambam. And one of the Biskirov, I forgot to say this, said this last time. One of the big rise from the Biskirov is that this is the pshat in the Rambam, because the Rambam doesn't say in Halacha Dalet in Perikei and Ishus that the reason why you can't be Mekadosh and Isha because Mama Gavoya. That's the Gemara. The Gemara says Mama Gavoya. That's the Meir. Why does the Rambam say that? Why did the Rambam leave out the whole Gemara? Right? It was Yeh the Kind land, it was Yeh the Shippa land. The Rambam already lost the Gemara, and he comes up with a whole new time. Elamai looked at what the Rambam lent up was meant Mama Gavoya. And learn this up. Mama Gavoya means because you don't have a right to do with it what you want. You can't do with what you want. Thus make Mama Gavoya. That's basically what the Biskirov says. Rambam in Perek Gimel Halacha Yud Zayin, Ma'aser Sheni Mama Gavoya. Wasn't the Biskirov doesn't say in the Rambam Mama Gavoya. Here in the Rambam tells me clearly Ma'aser Sheni Mama Gavoya. Shenema Lashem Hu. Lashem, this is the pasuk that he brings in Hilchos Ishus, but he says the what is as Mama Gavoya lefikach eina nikna b'matana. You can't give it away a matana to somebody. Elim nosen loy hatevel. If somebody gives tevel, v'amakabel mafresh ha'maisa, you give away tevel. It's toch da Ma'aser Sheni in the tevel lik toch da Ma'aser Sheni. One big yisod shtei da in this Rambam. That's one of the reasons I'm pointing it out here. Not only because I want to explain this. The Fianese daiti aklusha was the pshat in the Rambam in the Rov, but shtei da nachazah. The shtei da that you can't give away a matana Ma'aser Sheni, which is part of our Mishnah. Shtei da into the Mishnah. And that's not matana. Why can't you give him any nikta matana? Ela im nosan le hatevel. You could give tevel, and tevel liktach in the tevel the Ma'aser Sheni. So we learn pshat in Trumas, and we learn pshat asach moma geret. So da azika. Right? Asneraisa, yeah, but Yishalmi, right? It's like Asneraisa, but it's set enough, and we know Yishalmi and Ma'aser, but it's Zika in the Teva, look at Zika from Truma Gedoyle, from Trumas Ma'aser, from Ma'aser Isha, Ma'aser, that's the Gemara. We had enough in the Gemara. So really, the Asneraisa is the Mefurish Yishalmi. But here the Rambam says a psak like that. He says the Ma'aser Shem is Mama Gavoyahu, and that's why any Niklim B'matana. What's meant any Niklim B'matana? You have nothing to give. It's not yours. What do you mean you can't give? I have things in it. I have things. I could be magdashit. So what do you mean I can't give it away? So I can't make shacha feitzav. So he said, but if you have tevel, you could give him matana. V'amakabel mafresh ha'maisa, and the one who has now the tevel, he's mafresh the maisa, and that's permitted, even though it says Lashem Hu, even though it's Mama Gavoya. Even though it ain't lasted by Shachar Pesach, but the matana is niktiv matana. Why? Because it's tevel, and tevel is matana shloi huma. Shloi huma. So the famous sugi of matana shloi huma. So how do we see paskin? He paskins over here matana shloi huma kloi huma dami. Shloi huma dami. Even though it's tevel liktiv the matana, so it's like huma. So merely you don't really have yet the Ma'aser Sheni. It's only a zika for Ma'aser Sheni. The zika for Ma'aser Sheni, but k'mishalei humidami, v'baz k'mishalei humidami. So merely it's nikli b'matana. Ve'im mekachim b'yisei isha. Chazatibah, where he says in Hilchos Ishus. Ve'im moichin oisei, ve'im memashkin oisei, ve'im machlifin oisei, ve'im meharin oisei. We learned yesterday the brisa The Bryce is Moisef on the Mishnah. Zapmandoch l'chayre here, that the Rambam is coming back and explaining the din of Eim Kachim Bois Isha because Mama Gavoya was frank the Biskarov in the Sefer, in Dotten and in Zvachim. Of course, the Rambam in Hilchus Ishas. Why did Rambam leave out Mama Gavoya? That's the time. He came for a new Shachafetz, a new time. So offer Rambam here in Hilchus Ma'aser Sheni. The Rambam says the Ma'aser Sheni Mama Gavoya, and that's why you can't do all these things. Eim Kachim Bois Isha. Moichem Mashkin, I said, Shetel Beferi, yeah. So maybe a shtickle, a shiloh from Biskarov. What's the pshat in the Biskarov? Yes. Okay, yes, you have your part. You have one fruit, it's yours. You could be Mekashish. Okay. Okay, we're getting into a different story now. Let's stick to the topic because it's a little bit complicated topic here, and I want to make sure I explained it correctly.
Because the Master Shani is also shut.
I know. But this is the shutas that you have a shut. It's the moment gavoy, and it's yours also. So these two things. So the question is, why does the Biskarov say the Rambam doesn't say the time of the Mishnah? The time of the Mishnah is because Atzar Meir, here the Chayre in Hilchus Ma'aser Sheni itself, he does say the time of Ma'aser Sheni. So even if you don't have the Biskarov, you didn't learn the Biskarov, you don't have the Biskarov, but Akabam, you learn these two Rambam, you have this issue. But what's the Rambam do? Yoga Zakt Al Mama Gavoy, and here he doesn't say Al Mama Gavoy. What's the reason for that? So let's try to understand it, right? So there's another problem with this particular Rambam. What's the problem?
This is the Makom.
Huh?
The Makom is over here. This is the Makom.
Okay, good, fine.
That's a
Fine.
sniff.
That's a sniff. Why? That's the Makofa from Makachim Beis Isha. Emi Kedusha is Isha. That's the mission Kedusha.
Mashini Halach is over here.
1 second, but why?
The Tam is over here.
He says in both places the time. Here he says Mama Gavoya, and here he says the Pasuk says Vos Sheidon Pasuk Ein Lasid Bo Shachafetzav Ashis Chal Shenem and Ma'aser Hashem Hu. He says the time here also. He says a different time. He doesn't say Al Mama Gavoya. What's the Yishad Makay? What?
He's talking about the din of Ma'aser Sheni.
No, he says also Emi Kachim Beis Isha.
He's telling you all the laws that are negayed to the fact that
So why did the Rambam go away from the time of the Mishnah? Because the Meir holds.
Explaining what the Mama Gavoya is.
Oh, that's what Mama Gavoya means? So over there, when he's talking, so over there in Kedushin, where he's talking in Ishis, he's talking about one prat. So there he's explaining you the whole time for the 6 things that it says here in the Mishnah that the Rambam brings over here. He's explaining it over there. Okay.
He's saying a different halacha. He's saying a different.
Ken's not best. You know, the Shiva used to have us. We were kids.
Picking up the keppel.
We were kids. He used to have us. The Shiva came to class. He used to have us. So he had very interesting words that he used. So he said like this, you know, but this is before today's chinuch, you know, was ein henschkus and all that. That's for sure. So he said, Knossos in America, you know right away. Knossos doesn't go. You get to live in the Atlantic, Knossos. Europe used to be Knossos, but kinder. So he said, if we knew the Gemara, ganz good. That was the maximum trampling you got to the shoe. Ganz good. I said once a big chiddush and whatever. I said a chiddush by B'mitzvah for my nephew, and he was there, and the Rav got up and after me and said whatever I said was not right, not correct. And then the Rashiv perked up and he heard this. You know, he's like, "Zog me menachem was the gesog." Looked like he wasn't listening to what I was talking about. He's saying ganz good. That was max. But if you didn't, huh?
The Yad David maybe.
Yeah, the Yad David, yeah. You know. And if you didn't know, Pflegesorgen kannst können besser. Das kann besser. That was the shit. Okay. So kann sagen besser Pshat, kann sagen. Okay, so that's what I mean. So here the Kesef Mishnah comes, and he says on this Rambam, and all the noise are busy over here with this particular question, but the Kesef Mishnah is Mikatze. He says like this. You give him tevel, and it goes a little bit of Meir. V'nosna tam b'gemara loma kishenosna lois tevel niknu loy. I Ma'aser Sheni is not niknu b'matona. Who are you giving away something that doesn't belong to you? But it's tevel, and tevel has in it Ma'aser Sheni. You know why it works? The ksava matona shloi humu lav kimi shehumi damyan. Matonas is the Ma'aser Sheni. Where's the Ma'aser Sheni? In this tevel liktach the Ma'aser Sheni, right? There's the azika of the Ma'aser Sheni. but it's not as if it's already hurmadam. It's not lav k'mishu hurmadam. Sure, that's the reason why the Rambam says you can't give it away. Yesh the Tumoya Afrekta. Afrekta Astira, and the Rikuk is also, the Rikuk came before the Lechem Mishnah, Kesef Mishnah. And Afrekta for an offer Rambam Faket, Lama, the Tumoya Heich Posig Rabbeinu, Shim Nosn Lois Atebel, Niklan Loi, Bereyu Zal Posig Peik Vov, and Hilchas Meisters, Ubekame Duchte, Huve Beru Rikuk, they put in over here, Rabbi Frankel. The Matonish Loi Hume, Kimisha Humi Damien. But looks, the Loi Hume Damien. Rambam holds that Kimishu Humi Damin. Obviously, Kimishu Humi Damin is the Chadad of the Ma'aser Sheni. If I have the Ma'aser Sheni, how are you giving away the Tevel? We get select the Tevel Matan. It's as if you have already the Ma'aser Sheni. That's the definition of Kimishu Humi Damin. Tilitari Kukas, the terrace. This terrace is not only the gate for this Mama Gavaya, it's a pshat in Ma'aser Sheni and a taish from the Rishonim. This is Rishonim. Look at that. We can learn guys Ma'aser Sheni and not know the Etzem Mahus versus Ma'aser Sheni. Look at that. Tiri Kukas, Shesaver Rabbeinu, the Rambam held, the Dafke Lahaim Milsa Omru Lav Kimishu Humi Damyam. Only for this particular prat, it's not Kimishu Humi Damyam. The Adkan Layomer Ameya Ma'aser Sheni Momon Gavaya. When did Ameya say the Ma'aser Sheni is Momon Gavaya? When? Not on Tevel. It wasn't a Tevel. I Kimishu Humi Damyan. El Davke Kishuhurim V'nika Olav Shem Ma'aser. When there has a Chaloi Shem Ma'aser, you will call it Shem Ma'aser Sheni, even though it's Kimishu Humi Damyan, but it's not Mama Gavoya. Eno Kanam Dram Paskins as what as Ma'aser Sheni, Kimishu Humi Damyan. But it's Kimishu Humi Damyan, but become Mama Gavoya it is nicht. When does it become Mama Gavoya? With the Kriya Shem. Shesaber Rabbeinu Davke Hai Milsa Malav Kimishu Humi Damyan. That can learn Ma'aser Sheni Mama Gavoya. Davke Shurim V'nika Olav Shem Ma'aser the Hamid Siv Lashem Hu Yalef Lo V'Kra Acha Shuhurim. The pasuk is talking about Nochdem we made the Afrosha V'Nika Ma'aser Mashma. Nika Ma'aser means you koy Hashem Ma'aser. When Nochdem is the koy Gvein Hashem Ma'aser, then most bleibt this Mama Gavoya. Ma'aser Sheni this. Aber kann Mama Gavoya this nicht. Even though I pass on Ma'aser Sheni is what? Is Ma'aser Sheni is Kimishu Humi Damyan. It's Kimishu Humi Damyan, but that doesn't mean that it has din a Mama Gavoya. It only has din a Gavoya when you have the Kriya Shem. The matter is for emphasis they stark. The Rambam Taka Paskins a lot of Kimishu Humi Damyan. And that's why I said you gotta give him why is he passing in another place that it is Kimishu Humi Damyan? It is Kimishu Humi Damyan, but Etzem is Kimishu Humi Damyan, but to have a din Mama Gavoya, it is Lav Kimishu Humi Damyan. So the Kriya Shem is what makes it into Mama Gavoya. On the Kriya Shem, it's Nish Kimishu Humi Damyan. It's a Geschmack, it's the Rambam Hilchas Ishus. Well, look, the Rambam Hilchas Ishus. That you can't be Mekadosh B'Yis Isha. Why can't you be Mekadosh B'Yis Isha? You can tell me it's Kivat. You should have said the time is the Ma'aser Sheni is Mama Gavoya. What kind of Mama Gavoya is this? Welche Mama Gavoya? Mit der Kriya Shem, on our Kriya Shem. So that's a wender, right? So no. So when the Rambam doesn't say here, the Mishnah in Kedushin doesn't say that it's totally, if there was a Kriya Shem, there was no Kriya Shem. You can't be Mekadosh B'Yis Isha. But what's the Nochah Pshat? The Pshat is, Ein Boi Lasa Boi Shach Chafetzav. Shenem Hashem Lashem Hu. Without saying Hashem Hu, you can't do other chafetz with it. So that's why he says that ain't Mekachem Bois is the Geschmack. That's the time. But it doesn't say Al Mama Gavoya, because Mama Gavoya, I don't know what Mama Gavoya is. With the Kriya Shem, on the Kriya Shem, something from Kedushin. Kedushin, that's the time. Shach chafetz you can't do. So Ad Kan, yeah.
I mean, even if it's Kodim Shoham Musla for Mekadosh B'Yis, so you should have right to be also.
Yeah, because this is separate din. There's a separate din and lasted by chafetzav. I the Rambam himself. Why the Rambam says himself here? We need to you could be if a moment gavoya kimishu huma lav kimishu huma. His mashma over here is lav kimishu huma. I passing over there kimishu huma damyan. When is the kimishu huma damyan? When you had a kriya shem. When you have a kriya shem, then was the kimishu huma damyan. If you have no kriya shem, I'm sorry. When you have a kriya shem, then was the moment gavoya. Demos is Mama Gavoya. On them, that's the Mama Gavoya. That's the Pshat here in the Rambam.
What does Kriya Shem mean?
You can't, that is a Ma'aser Sheni. Ma'aser Sheni. Even though Kimishu Humi Damyan, and Kimishu Humi Damyan, we say it's as if you have the Ma'aser Sheni here, but that's not Ma'aser Sheni for Mama Gavoya. On the Kriya Shem, it doesn't become Mama Gavoya. It's another step. It's another step.
I would have been from Shumas Master before, right?
No. Satazika, but it doesn't.
Ma'aser Sheni is separate.
Is that first
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a halchin do it, but I want to just read you. I just want to read you because Nigel is saying.
Why can you say that that over here it's what name Mechanized has to do with the Bazayan?
We'll get to it, but why?
That's the Matan, I mean.
Okay, you already mentioned it. This place is steht da Mekadosh Bechelka in the Mekadesh. Yeah, this is the Mishnah. You mentioned this. The Taisis. In time affected. What do you say? Mekadosh Bechelka in the Mekadesh. You came Mekadosh Nisha with Ma'aser Sheni. In time, Mi Gora Me Mekadosh Amna Shadabe Lecha L'Shultain. The Mekadeshes Afa Pishle Nosn La Klum Ela She'Osa Lehano. Jeder Kind weiß doch Let Kedushin. He knows that if this Gemara, that Samach Gimel in Kedushin, that is a person says to a woman, "I'll be Mekadesh you, Amanaz, I'll speak to the Shultan something about you, something that you have a know from that, and with that I know that you're going to get from the Shultan is Mekadeshes. Mekadesh Ba'ano is Mekadeshes, yeah." So Bazoiv, Mekadosh Bechelka with Ma'aser Sheni. What do I care? It's Mama Gavaya. But now I have another different, right? I could give it to a coin. I give it to a coin. I could sell it to a coin, right? We'll talk about it. The Gemara's, yeah. But I know you give him over 10,000 pounds of Ma'aser Sheni. I don't know. Yeah. So what does the Mishnah say over here? Any Mukadeshes? Yesh loim emphasize is the light dummy. Awesome yochel little scha midiburay. If he says the man says to the woman, "I'll do it for ano, you have to pay me for it," and now I'm not going to take that ano, you're allowed to do it. I'm not taking money for you. I'm a lobbyist. Lobbyist takes a lot of money. You know, I'm a lawyer. But I can geld for this, and I'm not going to take it. I'm a with that money. What's wrong? You get a favor from the melech. Was schlecht. So you could do it. You're allowed to do it. The Toivis ano enemy shaloi. The moment gavayu ve'eni yokal likach mame mano she'osaloi. It's mama gavayu. Mama gavayu meant. Mama gavayu. You can't take money for it. You can't take the Ma'aser Sheni and give it to the Isha and say, you know what? Pay me for the Ma'aser. Toivis ano. Here's 10,000 pounds of Ma'aser Sheni. And you can give it the ben bitcha coin. You have to give it away to a coin. You have a shayna anoah from them. You can have an anoah from it. You have a toivis anoah. The tarnished. Mama gavaya. It's a surim. It's daina. You can't give it to anybody. You can't take an anoah from them. So you look at the toises. So the order up to kasha. Wait, you have an anoah. Nashdava chol shultan. Ma'aser sheni is not yours to take an anoah from them. What does it mean? It's not yours to take an anoah from them. Toises is only the Rambam is only saying it's not yours. Last by shachafetzav. And the Mama Gavaya only comes with the Kriya Shem and the Alazachim. So what does it mean that you can't take money for Ma'aser Sheni? Zuk the Taisis Yishonim, in the Taisis Yishonim, Afa Gav the Isbay Shava Pruta. So Taisis is not the Mechulik on this Taisis Yishonim, not Mechulik on the Taisis. Taisis is explaining the Taisis. That's why it's not on the side. They put it into the Taisis in brackets. Afa Gav is based Shava Pruta. I think verstehe the Taisis. Others learn that it is a machlekes here Taisis with Taisis Yishonim. But I'm going to try to make it a little simpler. He says like this: Afa Gav is based Shava Pruta. She yochel moichel kayin. The woman gets the Ma'aser Sheni from the man. She has now 10,000 pounds of Ma'aser Sheni. Kayin, you want to have some Ma'aser Sheni? Half off. Yeah. Can she offer kayin? She yochel moichel kayin. Mikol mokayin. So why is it not mukadeshes? That's not geld. Even shu mama gavaya ain't the mukadeshes. What?
It's not his moment, right? It's his moment.
What do you mean? What do you mean? She now just got 10,000 pounds of Ma'aser Sheni, 50 off, right? So she made $500, let's say, yeah? Was it schlecht? Leidomi la menashe dabachol l'shulten. Was steht da dabei? Was steht da in Taisis Yishonim? Aber gab es bei Shavah Pruta Shachol l'moichel l'kayin. You could sell it to the kayin. and you could get money for that, right? Somebody has my chain, I can't for some coins. So he says, what? You know what? I got to sell to the coin. I have to make now a kedushin over here. Not the zach, a lady, mukadeshes. Yeah, no, why not? Because mokem kivin shu mom gevaya ain't a mukadeshes like domin. I'm not sure have a chodesh. What's the pshat in the taisa the baisa? So without the background, I think of Ma'aser Sheni, and Melent does kedushin, Melent these sugis. I remember when the shiva used to learn kedushin. So Essex shovel ilun the shiva drachim. Yeah, the more Essex shovel ilun the gimel drachim. Yeah, the vices. So yeah, normal Melent the sugis. Essex shovel ilun gives up. Okay, this is roim. Not for me right now. I'm learning kedushin, right? I think more put it over here. The shiva got the dry shurim. Dry shurim there. I didn't know what was right, what was left. Because Etachlan Zrohim as a, Kedaboy the Mevet, he was flying around in outer space. Kicked as a right? Okay, now we have to go over those shum. But Akaponim, the Kalen Do, Dafnun Bezam and Bez, learn this thesis. We talk about the Ma'aser Sheni, that even though you could sell it, but you can't Mekadosh with Isha, what's the Takish? What's the Pshat? What's the Pshat of the Ma'aser? What's state doing the thesis? They don't entice us. You can't say I'm not learning it now. No, now we're learning Ma'aser Sheni. What tenets do we have now? It's not because tenets. This is the Fashenim entices. Yeah. Ich meine, das soll dabei sein. Der Pshat ist so. Ma'aser Sheni ist Taka Mom Goya. And Ma'aser Sheni can Taka was take money for it. And if you give that money to an Isha, also give him the Isha. But you know why it's any Mekadeshes? But the Rambam had gesucht in Perik, hey, Halacha Dalit, HaMakadosh in Isha with Ma'aser Sheni. You know why it's any Mekadesh? Not because you didn't get any money for it. You got the money, hell, it's taka fine both. But dort din fish ein lasse boy shache feitzob achis chalul shenema b'Ma'aser Hashem hu. That's the blockage. That prevents the kedusha from happening. Why? It's ein geld. It's all thing fine boy. You can take the money, put it in the bank, and buy it with whatever you want to buy with that money. But the Valze steht da postig ein lasse boy shache feitzob. This is the time for saying Mekadesh. This steht da in Rambam. And that's the reason for the Taisa Shonim saying that's the pshat in this Taisa. That's why Zayin Mekadesh, because this time. This is the time. This is the pshat. So now, just to end off over here, because this is I get the Vazel I do in this Rikukas and this Rambam. So the Rikukas says like this. He's one of the earliest Mefarshim on the Rambam, right? Before the Mishnah Melech. Before the Kesef Mishnah even. He brings the Gemara. Nun beis am beis. Ma'aser Sheni bein b'shoigel bein b'meizel like kiddush. Divrei meir. B'gud oim b'shoigel like meizel kiddush. The Gemara menah nemir. Sil chol ma'aser ha'oretz l'Hashem hu l'Hashem v'loi l'kadosh b'ris isha. There's a mit akro. L'Hashem v'loi l'kadosh b'ris. Not because it's not yours. But shetayt v'loi l'kadosh b'ris isha. But sheklina v'trinina lo. This is Lashon HaGemara. L'sheklina v'trinina lo. Aske. Tigam and Robin Salah Kamet Rab Amakro, who Bebiyosa Ye, Labra Meme, so you see, pointing out Lazay. So, first of all, you have a posting. Shet Lashem, Lloyd Lakash Boisisha. So, mainly, it's can't find Dine Geld, but it's a Amir. You can't be Makash in Isha. But Labra, but he was pointing out that not because you learn out from Hulu Kudei, to Gabeshvi is Ksiv Nami Yovel Hu, Kiddush, but now, Hamakash Pei Shvi is Mukadesh, Pei Shvi, you could be Makash in Isha, you could have Shinon. Hosam the Tali Tam Hashem Mesiv Kodesh Hashem. Elo Hashem Nami Samach. So he said like this, because by do state Lashem Hu, and dort nicht steht bei Shvi is Enoch Hanam steht da Posig bei Shvi is Yovel Hui. It's Yovel Hui, but it's not Lashem. So dort steht Lashem. So it's Hata Kedusha from Lashem, and the Kedusha Lashem is Umayit V'Loi Lekash B'Yisisha. So those look at Ram Loi Shach HaBeis Loi Lekash B'Yisisha. Those are the pshat. Those landscapes.
It's like Schreier is mutter.
Schreier is mutter. Very good, very good. Shvius is Schreier also.
I get the business.
Yeah, because there's no meat there. I get the Shabbos advice. I get it.